Hey fellow photographers, I'm always asking, what did you shoot today? Well, in this episode, I'm going to share images that I took on Pinhole Photography Day. I'm going to discuss why I took those pictures, how I think they turned out, and what I could improve on next time. I hope you enjoy. All right, so on Pinhole Photography Day, I was able to expose one roll of 120 film and a couple of sheets of 4 by 5. So sticking with my sort of composition ideas, I took some pictures of some cactus as well as some flowers for some sharp and some soft themes. I had some night shot long exposures. That one was taken with a lens. That one was an epic fail because I didn't get to expose it long enough. And then I went back into studio and did some more things with flowers, so more plays on the soft theme. Moving on to the 4 by 5 sheets, the top left here is another epic fail of not being able to expose for long enough at night. And yeah, there's really no information in that negative. And the other three are of a palm tree, and the top of the leaves here is very windy, so there was a lot of movement in the leaves, which I tried to capture. And these two are probably my favorite that came out of the 4 by 5 and probably overall. So here I am with the Hasselblad out at the Desert Botanical Garden taking some pictures of some desert plants, kind of going with the sharp theme. And so this is how this shot turned out here. This is a crop from the negative, and when I scan these negatives and I put them up here, there's probably a lot of dust on the negatives. I use scans of negatives as sort of a digital proofing to kind of see what kind of things I want to manipulate in the darkroom if I'm going to make darkroom prints. So the important thing here is just to see what the composition looks like, adding some contrast control, and maybe a little bit of dodging and burning, but nothing beyond that. So this next plant kind of looks like a giant artichoke, and I was drawn to this sort of pattern of repeating lines and sort of a fractal sort of spiral out from the center. So this is what this negative came out like. Again, a little bit of contrast control. I added a vignette on this image. This is something I could also do in the darkroom, and I really like this print. It's probably my favorite print from the Desert Botanical Gardens. Now this shot was very interesting because even though it looks pretty bright here in the picture, the sun had set or was setting, so it was pretty cloudy. This ended up being an 8-minute exposure. So this is what I came up with. This is a pretty heavy crop of the original negative. But it kind of gave this really soft and surreal look, which I really like about this picture. There's a lot of dust on this negative. I didn't really do a good job of cleaning that off before I scanned it, but if I were to make a print, I think I will make a print of this one just because it's almost got a surreal cloud-like quality. And being an 8-minute exposure, there was probably definitely some wind movement. It just adds to that softness. Here's one more negative from that day. I didn't take a video of me shooting this plant, but again, kind of a fractal spiral pattern. Tried to put the center in the bottom third, following the rule of thirds here, sort of spiraling outwards. Lots of sharp edges on the edge of the plant, kind of softened out by the pinhole. Overall, interesting shot. I like it. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Okay, so switching gears, here's where things get interesting. This is towards the end of Pinhole Photography Day here at the waterfront, trying to get a long exposure of this scene. So here is what the picture I had in my mind looked like, and I actually put the lens on my camera and took this picture with the lens. This was, I want to say, like a 5 or 6 second exposure at this time of night with, I think, an aperture around f8, maybe f11, and 100 speed film. So here's what happened when I tried it with the pinhole. So this is the same exact shot. The angle of view is slightly different because the way my body cat pinhole is set up, it's about 75 millimeters versus the lens in the last picture is an 80 millimeter lens. And as you can see, yeah, the highlights are there, but I retained absolutely no details in the shadows. And this is with Fuji Acros 100, which is supposed to have pretty good reciprocity failure characteristics. But yeah, I mean, this was, this was pushing a 30-minute exposure and still like nothing in the shadows. So I think it's just beyond the scope of that film for that long, which is kind of unfortunate. But I mean, that's why I took a picture with a lens because, like I said, pinhole photography is not necessarily appropriate for every situation. So I'm still happy I came up with the last picture, and yeah, I'll probably have to take this kind of shot during the blue hour where there's just enough light to get that exposure, less than 3, 4 minutes, I would say. Otherwise, there's going to be no detail in the shadows. So wrapping out this roll of film were a couple of shots in studio. I tried some up close shots. I wasn't really happy with the way those came out. I think the earlier one of the flower and the desert garden came out much better. This is the first shot. This is taken with a lens. So this is the 80 millimeter lens, just to show you the amount of detail that's captured of these orchids. Now, when we transition to the pinhole camera, there's a lot more softness in the image, and it's all about sort of personal taste. Does the softness add something to the image? I'm not so sure. I think the one with the lens has the capability for some nice fine art photography, and even though flowers are soft and you can sort of smooth out the edges, I'm not sure it's the most appropriate thing for this picture. But it was worth a shot just to see the comparison between the two. So these are the 4x5 shots of the palm tree. And first I took a shot of the bark, and then I took a shot at the top of the tree while the wind was blowing. So here's the result of the first picture, and I was actually really surprised at the detail. You can see the little strings and fibers between the bark of the palm tree. And this is really a testament to the size of the film, and the argument can be made that using a larger sensor size or larger media, like in this case 4x5 film, you really can capture more detail. Here's the picture with the movement involved, and I kind of really like how this came out, but I'm not sure exactly how I would edit this. The sun is coming in and it's kind of lighting the top part of the palm tree, so the bark at the bottom is pretty dark. So either some creative dodging and burning, maybe even those out. But I do like the movement in the leaves on the top, and I think there might be a square composition there that I would be happy with. So that's everything I shot for Pinhole Photography Day. A couple of successes, a couple of failures, lots of learning experiences along the way. So if you guys have albums or Flickr pages or anywhere that you host your work that you've shot on pinhole photography, I would love to see it. And I'd also like to hear comments and critiques about my work. But until then, as always, happy shooting.